American Outlaws is like Young Guns in a sense. Young Guns is about Billy the Kid. Our movie's about Jesse James.
I played Jesse James. That's funny, okay? Every time I say that. He's just a kid that has been in the war since he was 15 years old. Hasn't been home, hasn't seen his mother in 4 years. So he's because of what's happened around him, because of the environment, he has been turned into a killer at a very young age.
Who to play Jesse James? That was a real question. It's a difficult role and a demanding role. We decided to use this guy named Colin Farrell, an Irish kid, to play an American icon. A lot of people thought we were out of our heads, but he turned out to be the absolute right choice because he's charismatic. He has more courage than anyone I've ever met. I mean, if you see him in any of the footage, it's him doing this stuff. He would do anything. We had to pull him back, saying, "No, Colin, you probably shouldn't ride into the horses." He has no fear. And in that way, he also has great acting abilities because he doesn't have any fear, and he will do it, and he understands the character, and understands walking that fine line of an action hero. It's the idea of a little bit of a smile and this complete intensity. We meet Jesse James in the Civil War. He comes home to find that his town is basically taken over by the Union troops.
The railroad is moving west across the country and taking their land. So the railroad are the bad guys.
What happens when your life, your family, your land, the things that are most important to you are threatened? And at what stage do you decide to say no and get up in arms and fight for what you believe and fight for what is yours?
When the railroad asks Jesse James' family to sell their land to the railroad at a very low price, and they say no, Pinkertons resort to some rather low tactics to try to scare them off the land.
So what we decide to do is hit them at the source, rob the banks where we know they keep their money, to hit them where it counts, take their supplies, take their money, take their ammo.
I play a guy called Alan Pinkerton, who's a Scot, who emigrated into the United States of America when he was about 23 years old and ultimately formed the famous Pinkerton Detective Agency. And he's the man employed to hunt down Jesse James.
Alan Pinkerton was a Scot, and we were lucky enough to have Timothy Dalton play this character because he brought the real authenticity to that role.
He's a good guy, he's a good actor, you know, he's intense, very strong, very grounded. And, you know, they're all brilliant, you know, it's a great bunch of young actors and a great bunch of old pros, you know. And he's one of them, and he's great to watch. He's been around a long time, so you learn a lot off someone like that.
I played Cole Younger, in the script kind of the hothead, and according to books and history, he was pretty much like the most feared guy in those times.
Jesse and Cole have great conflict throughout the movie, and at one point, Cole even wants to have the gang renamed as the Younger James Gang, because there's more Youngers in the gang than James brothers. Because he also would like to be the leader, he'd also like to plan the jobs, and he also has the skills to do it. So it's only Jesse's charisma that allows him to be the true leader.
You know, and it comes to a head at the end of the film where he decides that he's going to do this bank and he doesn't tell me. And I find out off his brother, and I confront him about it for making the plan without me and not having me involved. And a fight ensues, and we kick the lard out of each other in the street, just right there. It was rain, and it was night, and it was great fun.
I play Frank James, who's Jesse's older brother. He's the thinker of the two. Jesse's the more instinctual guy. I'm also sort of the voice of reason in the film. I think he's the unspoken leader. He divides the leadership between Cole and Jesse.
I play Bob Younger, who's the brother of Cole, and he's part of the posse.
One false move and I'll blow your head off!
Bob?
You heard me, Jesse! You know how crazy I get?
He's kind of the little bit of the reluctant cowboy. He might have been a better farmer than an outlaw, but he's an outlaw. So He's trying hard.
Hey! You wanna die?
I love all the boys that I worked with. Amazing. I mean, Colin was incredible, made this experience for me wonderful, working with McCormack, who's going to be such a force to reckon with in this world. And I think that, you know, it's a fun, light movie, and we had so many laughs. Martini!
The romance is between myself and between Jesse James and Z Mims, who was the woman that he married back in the day, and she's played by Larter, who's a beautiful, beautiful woman and a really good actor.
Me and Frank have to go away for a while.
But you and I, we've started something, you know? I don't know what'll happen if you do this.
Neither do I.
Just let the law.
Laws don't touch men like Thaddeus Raines. Only justice does.
Our preparation for American Outlaws was we went to cowboy camp for about a month before we started shooting out here.
We all went and rode horses for a couple weeks before we came out here, and then we had 2 weeks here training with the guns and shooting the guns off of horses, and like a month of stuff.
We had a little gun camp action, learning how to twirl the guns and, you know, throw them up in the air, catch them and fire, and learn how to shoot a rifle.
We just learned about the guns and rode horses and tried to get as comfortable as possible, because these kids have been on horses since they were born, you know?
As far as what I add to the gang, it's, yeah, as far as the movie goes, it's an element of comic relief.
What's that?
It's my lucky rabbit's foot. Took it off that dead fellow over there.
Yeah, I don't think that one's working, Lonnie.
Lonnie's a real likable guy, but he's not the sharpest tack in the box.
Hey, Lonnie.
Oh, yeah. Let's go, Sugar Britches. Just call me Lucky Lonnie Packwood.
Because it's so action-packed. I mean, it's going to be a huge summer blockbuster. Big popcorn movie. Like, there's so many special effects and action sequences that everything is so precise.
And move!
Real sense of glamorized adventure and fun with a satisfying end.
As far as I'm concerned, Jesse James is a myth. We don't even know exactly what happened to Jesse James. So who's to tell us exactly what happened, or if we're right or if we're wrong? So we took that inspiration, the Jesse James inspiration, and made this film. I mean, just recently, they're still digging Jesse James up in Texas. Everyone's still convinced that everyone has their own story on how he ended his life, or who he was, or, you know, it's a great mystery. And I think we're adding to that. We're adding to the myth of Jesse James, if you will.